can we do something fun? I thought we would go to Europe or something. And then
Can you hear me, Scott?
proposed the cruise thing.
Loud and clear.
Thank you.
Then they went for it. Yeah, I'm excited.
Pledge of allegiance, meeting call to order at whatever. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Salute the flag, state of Mexico.
Be a symbol of perfect friendships among united cultures.
Thank you. Apologize for delaying the meeting a bit. I had to do some minor technical things. Roll call, please.
Dr. Guyer Shamble.
Here.
Mohan Day. Here. Robert Hayes.
Here.
Richard Jones.
Present.
Ron Ortiz.
There's a quorum. Mr. Weidner, any changes?
Are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes. Board, we're going to go to page, page 4. We, at the top, it says the board went into executive session at 6:45 PM. I want to insert the statement.
Yeah, are you doing minutes or?
Oh,
so
apologize.
agenda?
See, that's why I had those guys here. Let's go to the agenda. Is there any changes to the agenda, Mr.?
I don't see any. Do you?
Seeing none, call for the vote.
So moved to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Moved by Bob Hayes to approve the agenda and seconded by Emily Hunt Daly to second it. Roll call.
Dr. Guyer Shamble.
Yes.
Emily Hunt Daly.
Yes.
Robert Hayes.
Yes.
Richard Jones.
Aye.
Ron Ortiz.
Motion carries. Now,
There's a change.
adoption of minutes.
I have to change.
This is rare, but I don't think I had given it to you, so I apologize, Lori. Other recommendations for adoption of the meeting minutes, Mr. White? So,
We just wanted to change them back.
You said there was a change.
There's a change on page 4, correct?
okay, I want to do a adjustment to the minutes on page 4 at the top. It says the board went into executive session and then we came out of executive session. So
Missing something here?
I'm trying to make sure I've got this correct. Yes, you see where it says X 13, Roman numeral 13,
Yes, 1, 2, 3.
and then it says approve changes to the organizational chart. Then underneath there's action.
Page 4.
Yes.
It says President Guyer Shambo reconvened.
Ask for motion
No,
to reconvene.
correct me if wrong, but that should come right after we came back in from executive session.
Okay.
That is correct.
Thank you.
That reconvene should be before 11.
Before 11, okay? So need to say before 11. Thank you. And in addition to that, the statement about the matters discussed in the closed meeting were limited only to those. We'll add that. The meeting matters discussed in the closed meeting were limited only to those specified in the motion for closure. This statement shall be approved by the board as part of the minutes. Okay, so
So-
I've already sent that to her.
So that entire action should go before 11.
Yes.
Intent. Yes.
Including that I just stated.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
One other question, Mr. President?
Yes, yes, sir.
Item 2, adoption of agenda. It says a motion was made by Emily Hunt Daly by Robert Hayes, and I guess Emily Hunt Daly needs to be stricken and seconded by Robert Hayes. Would work.
For the minutes
Yes,
from the last time.
yes. So if we're gonna make a whole bunch of corrections, let's just put that one in there too.
Okay, anybody else have any? No. No. Okay. So, back to business. Now, would you recommend the adoption of the minutes as amended?
As amended, I
As
recommend.
amended, okay.
So I make a motion, we adopt the minutes as amended.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded, made by Richard Jones and seconded by Ron Ortiz to approve the minutes as amended. Roll call, please.
Dr. Guyer Shamble.
Yes.
Emily Daly. Yes. Robert Hayes.
Yes.
Richard Jones.
Aye.
Ron Ortiz.
Yes.
Motion carries. Now, apologize for the little technical details. Let's get on to business. Mr. Weiner.
At this time, it's my honor for us to have a special recognition. We are going to recognize Miss Stephanie Martinez, who has been with the Grant Cibola County Schools Transportation Department since we took ownership of the Transportation Department 12 years ago. She was a bus driver long before that. She has been driving a school bus for over 40 years. Ms. Martinez is always willing to help with activity trips, school field trips, and other routes when a driver is absent. She never hesitates to ask what is needed and how she can help. Stephanie never complains about anything and thinks outside of the box when it comes to problem solving. She is an asset to the Transportation Department and the students of the school district that she serves. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present a recognition plaque to Ms. Stephanie Martinez.
I want to take a photo so you're not getting away.
Did you,
Yes, and she has her family here as well.
You wanna come up, family?
Come on, get a picture. Don't be shy.
Gary?
She asked if her family could come. I said, absolutely.
You gotta turn around. Here we go. Yes, very good. Yes, yeah, we don't want to hide behind them there, kiddo. Come on.
Okay.
All right, good job.
Thank you.
Gary, a few words? Tell us about this young
You had a
lady.
headlight look there.
No kidding, I wasn't expecting that. Stephanie is one of the best. She's been with us since the beginning, and she comes in every day with a positive attitude and is always, how can I help you? What can we do? How do we solve this? I don't know what to do or how to cover a route, I go to her and she always has an idea. Sometimes it's her covering the route, but she's an amazing person, and I'm blessed to work with her.
Thank you very much.
You, together.
I happen to know her quite well. And there's a young lady beside her and a young man beside her, my godson. And my former student at Cubero. And so I'm, this is a family that I've known have been in the system for a long time. They both have been involved. All three of them are part of our system for years. So it's really, I really feel good. I have to tell, you have to stay there because you know who's gonna be upset if I don't take a picture? My wife.
Makes a good forward team.
Yeah, well, hold on.
Give it to them. I don't have it.
Yeah, I want you to come up here again.
No, so you can-
Come on, because you know she's gonna, you know what she's gonna say. Come on. Tiffany? London? Okay, right there.
You gotta humor the old man.
You gotta humor Grandpa here.
Trouble. Right, Bill, like you like to say, come on now.
Okay.
What's the doctor got?
Okay, you got it.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody. Congratulations.
Oh, Landon, you're getting big. Gosh. Remember?
Yeah, next year, middle school.
Middle school? Ah, even worse. Yeah, Tiffany was one of the brightest students I've had. So I'm really proud to see them all. And she's been, of course, Stephanie, you've been with the district for such a long time, and it's easy for Jerry to use you as a go-to person when you have things to solve. And you know how driving buses are, and you could probably have stories to tell. So thank you very much. Any other comments?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Let's see. Where we at?
Citizens to address.
Citizens to address the board. Board members, I'd like to change the announcement on citizens to address the board at some point, and I will tell you a little bit about that. That has to do with the announcements that we make. We ask the board, the citizens to turn in their forms on Mondays. So we might need to, I would like to consider adjusting that, and I'll share that with you. Give
To
them,
be prior to that Monday deadline.
well, I'd like to move it to today, the same day.
Even as close,
Yeah, because gives them an opportunity,
gotcha.
so.
So then we'd have to, no, we'd have to change the agenda.
No, we don't change anything. I think it was just something that I had,
We used to do it that way anyway.
yeah, so I think she knows what to do. So it just gives public an opportunity if they have a chance, just in case. Beautiful. Presentations, Mr. Widener.
At this time, it's my honor to introduce the newest administrator to join our team. We have a new principal at Los Alamitos Middle School, working with Ms. Sanchez. And at this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Daniel Garcia up to introduce himself and tell you how it's going at Los Alamitos.
Thank you, guys.
Well, I'd like to have both of you come up, Reina and so the team. You knew I was gonna do that. Okay, Reina, why don't you do the intros?
My new assistant principal, Mr. Daniel Garcia. We have hit the ground running at Los Alamitos this year and have had a great first 4 days of school.
Absolutely. Tell us about yourself.
I've been in education, this is my 19th year. I was in Roswell, I spent 6 years at Laguna Acoma. I'm excited, we have a good team, we have a good support staff. I'm excited about things that are gonna happen there. It's gonna be a good school year. Originally from Texas.
Texas,
Yes,
which part?
Cowboys fan, South Texas.
South Texas, close enough.
Nobody told me that.
Oh, no.
We won't hold that against you.
Now remember, it's either Broncos or Cowboys in this area.
That's it.
So, well, I'm glad you're here and we welcome you to be a part of the team. And we're sure that we will be successful and it's great to have someone who has a lot of experience.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. Hey, Mr. Widener.
At this time, Mr. Maldonado has a presentation to
Oh,
share with the kickoff of our school year. We started school last Thursday on the 13th.
Okay,
Yes.
this requires snacks and stuff.
you got
Let's see,
a bunch of in front of you.
this is the movie time.
First part of this video was shared with all the staff at the back to school all staff meeting. And so the second part is about the first day of school.
Where was he at?
You know, Cibola County is a very diverse community. We have students that live on pueblos, we have students that live on the reservation, we have students that are being raised by their grandparents, by their aunts, students that are living with single parents. We have students who struggle economically. Students come to school because there's food there. They come to school because there's adults that care about them. They spend hours on buses going back and forth from their homes to their schools.
The truth is, New Mexico is a state filled with amazing natural beauty and a variety of elegant cultures steeped in ancestral tradition and heritage. People here reach out to understand and honor diversity. That is true for Cibola County as well. Another truth, though, is that families in our district experience a rate of poverty and distress that have a direct impact on the students' ability to learn, grow, and thrive.
It hurts. It hurts to think about our kids going home and not having an adult there to support them, or having food in the cabinets, or able to buy supplies to come to school so they can do their homework. I think about our kids and the struggles that they go through. This generation is so different from the generation I grew up in, where, you know, our kids don't have a lot of the material things. They don't have the adult support. They don't have the social emotional support that I had as a young person.
What I would say is have the positive voice loud in the community. So often it's easy to hear the negativity coming from the community, but that's not going to change unless we do our part as leaders, as teachers, as whatever your role is in this district, to make sure that you send a positive note.
I have students in this district. I have little ones that go to the elementary schools. And if I could share something with our secondary staff members and just staff members in general, it would be to treat those kids like they are your own. We spend 8 hours a day with those babies, and those are somebody else's babies. And I would just encourage you to treat them as your own. Love them, keep them safe, keep them happy, keep them humble, hold them accountable when they need to be accountable. But at the end of the day, we are tasked with those kids, and parents send us their kids knowing that we are going to do what is very, very best. And if we keep that in our hearts and our heads, we can't go wrong.
You know, it's an exciting time to work for Grant Cibolo County Schools. You have a new superintendent. We have over 36 new staff members that have come on board. We have administrative change happening. We have instructional change happening. We are on the cusp of greatness. And you know, when I walk around the schools, when I walk into our classrooms, I see innovation happening. I see strong teachers that know their curriculum, they know their standards, they know what they're doing. And so if we could really harness that and grow that and really impact every student every day, we really could grow our students for a lifetime. It's an exciting time for change, and we're making positive changes. You know, change is often uncomfortable for some folks, but if we make positive changes and we do what's best for kids, we're going to be unstoppable.
We have been making it kind of a point for us to all be in the schools and Friday, we had a rotation where we all went to different schools, Thursday and Friday, and so we're gonna try to do that weekly, so we're there, we're interacting. I've been doing several bus loads and unloads and that kind of stuff, cause we've had some of that transportation stuff going on, so it's been really good. It's good for us to be there. Lunches, we've been doing lunches,
Yes.
seeing how that's working. So, that was the first day of school. Last Thursday, we started and today we were dealing with water in the town of in the city of Grants. And so we've had to come up with a plan for that and making sure that the kids are getting their education. So we dealt with that today. Ms. Salazar is now going to present on staffing. And she has a more detailed presentation. This time she wanted to really provide detail.
Not a video.
Just before we move on, when you say we went to school on Thursday and Friday, what do you mean by we, who's we?
The central office staff.
So you said all central office.
We've been
staff.
sending people out into the schools. Yes, sir.
Okay.
We wanted to make sure we kicked it off right.
I didn't know if we meant.
Me and Steve. No, it was, we've been sending the employees out.
I got you.
So all of us actually went to each campus, so everyone had representation at each campus on the first day. And then we went to go have lunch. I think you went to lunch on Thursday at Mount Taylor, and then we went to Mesa View and we had lunch. And it was a really great experience and really good. We enjoyed it.
No, I'm sure they should. I just didn't know.
Yeah. No, it was, everybody from central office was tasked to kind of go out and encouraged to be there.
It was nice. Good evening, Dr. Geyer, Chombo, board members, Mr. Widener, colleagues and attendees. It's my pleasure to give you our staffing report. And so, of course, our motto, and I hope that we could change this. No? No? You can't change it?
You can change what?
Oh, never mind, I got it.
We can't be the change.
So it's not a clicking, you have to scroll, so I learned that one.
Send it to you.
Don't worry.
I'll get it. So of course, we want to be the change. That's our task for this year. We want to have all employees be part of the change and our journey, and this is our journey. And so here is our story. So you know about Grants-Cibola County School District, where we're at. Every student, every day, building a child, a person for life. I can't see with Delta, so I wanted to give you a little bit of background. Oh, we're both.
Sorry. Move your head, Delta.
So I wanted to give you a background and give you some history. So last year for 2022-2023 school year, we had a total of 563 staff members, a total of 77 vacancies. Out of those 77 vacancies, we had a total of 40 certified vacancies. Those are licensed personnel, teachers, administrators, and then our classified vacancies were a total of 37. And so that was last year's picture for our vacancies. And I'm pleased to tell you, despite even being increasing our staff enrollment, we went from 563 to 583 at this time. We have a total of, and I'm going to make that correction. Right now, as of today, I made 2 phone calls. We have 35 vacancies. We still have 22 certified vacancies. And if you'll see, it's a breakdown. We have 15 classroom vacancies, so that we have some subs in there. 4 of those are long-term substitutes completing their licensure requirements. And then 11 classrooms are vacant after those requirements are being filled. So we're waiting for those licensure requirements, and that'll drop down to 11 classrooms. And then we have a total of 13 classified staff members, so that number decreased as of today. I still have a couple more calls tomorrow. I was hoping that they'd get back to me today so I could give you a better report. And so I'm going to go further into our campuses and which campuses have what vacancies and what the vacancies are. So early college is fully staffed. And so we're really proud of having our early college fully staffed. Grants High School has 3 certified vacancies. We have a social studies teacher, a sped teacher, and a science teacher vacancy. Those interviews are being conducted and recommendations are coming in daily. Laguna Acoma, we have 3 certified vacancies there. We have a welding, metals, classroom, science, and art. All 3 of those are pending licensure requirements. And so by fall, we're hoping that those will be fully staffed. And so I'm proud to present that. Los Alamitos, we do have 1 certified vacancy, and that is a math teacher. I expect a recommendation by the end of this week. Those interviews are being conducted this week. And then if you'll move to the next page, Blue Water is fully staffed. Blue Water Elementary, Cubero Elementary is fully staffed. Mesa View has 3 certified vacancies, an art, kindergarten, and 4th grade. Ms. Valdez is also conducting interviews this week, and so we're hoping to fill those positions, if not this week, by next week. Now, Milan Elementary has 6 certified vacancies. They have a 1st grade, 4th grade, 6th grade, and art. But I do want to mention, it seems like a large number, but 3 of those vacancies were due to promotions within our district. And so these staff members actually went to an instructional coach position, an assistant principal, and then a gifted and talented teacher. And so we do also have 1 student teacher. So it's not that those are not being filled. We just had some promotions that resulted in some vacancies at that level. And although that number looks large, we are building capacity within our district and encouraging our employees to move on and promote their career. Mount Taylor has 3 certified vacancies, kindergarten, 5th grade, and 6th grade. Again, she's conducting interviews and we should be getting some recommendations on them. San Rafael is fully staffed. And Cebolleta has 1 classified vacancy, which is a special education educational assistant. So then we have our district vacancies. Those were our school vacancies. In central office, we have 1 certified, 3 classified. We did contact our bookkeeper, and so they are actually going to begin onboarding next week. And I didn't give you that email, Mr. Maldonado. I didn't have time. We were rushing to our board meeting. And we also have 1 IT recommendation that was offered the position today, and he will begin onboarding next week as well. And so those were the 2 classified staff members that we did offer a position today. We also have in facilities and operations, we have 3 classified positions, electrician, plumber, and maintenance helper. And Mr. Triplehorn had recommended a maintenance helper. Unfortunately, they declined the position, and so he's still continuing to look for those, for that position, those positions. In our special education department, we have 3 certified positions. We have a speech language pathologist opening, a transition teacher, and a diagnostician. Now, Ms. Griego she did request some additional staff members at this time. Once they become available, we want to provide services at those campuses that are needing services. Right now, we have a consultation or what's the term? Contracted services that we are offering. So we are still supporting our students and providing those services, but we would like to eventually have our own employees in those positions. In transportation, we have 8 classified. We have 7 bus drivers and 1 mechanic available. We did onboard 1 bus driver, and so it was at 8, and so that decreased. But we're having some traction with our applications. People are interested of coming on board, so we're at a good place. Not where I want. You always hear this from me. I would love to say we have 0 vacancies, but that's our goal. And if you'll see, I have 3 goals in our human resource department. Our first one is decrease our vacancy rate from 10%, which was in 2021, 2022, and to 5%. It was 5% last year. And so we met our last year's goal, and then I'm going to go ahead and decrease that even more. I'd like to go to a 4%, if not 3%. And so our second goal is to increase our retention rate. We have a retention rate of 87.8% to 90%. I would like 100%, but I do want to be reasonable and attainable. I want to have that goal that I can reach. And then our third goal is to implement our new applicant tracking system, and that's on target. We're actually going through that implementation phase, and we should be ready to go by this fall. And thank you. And I hope that was detailed enough and specific. If you have any questions, I would love to
Board members,
answer.
questions?
Comments? Mr. President, Ms. Salazar, increase your retention rate from 87.8 to 90%. Some people do retire, don't they?
They do every year. Yes. Yes, sir.
Wants to stay here for a long time, but some of us might want to retire.
Yes, they do, and that affects our retention rate.
Agreed.
But on the positive note, they stay home for a little bit and then they come back and
Sometimes.
subbing. And so we do have a lot of our retirees coming back. In fact, I'm trying to really recruit someone in your household. So I'm recruiting always.
Ms. Salazar, can I add to that?
Absolutely.
4 years ago, our turnover rate was 26%. 4 years ago, when I first came into this role, it was 26%, which is outrageous, right? But it had been that way for years. So what you're seeing here is a significant improvement in reducing that turnover rate.
Agreed.
And our priorities have been to try to get qualified people in the schools, at the school sites. Ms. Salazar mentioned that we have brought back some of our retirees and they're subbing, and so we have certified teachers that are subbing in those classrooms, and so it's good to have that and, you know, have those retirees coming back as a resource.
You know, when I first started on the board, we were trying to lose positions. It was all, we want more attrition, more, everybody, we wanted people to retire and not replace them. I think you've done a tremendous job there, because there's more to this, getting people to work in Grant-Cibolo counties than the school district can do. A lot of that is local government. A lot of that is, why would you move to Grants, New Mexico? Why would you move to Laguna, Acoma, if you're not from there? I don't know how we change that. I don't know how I mean, this is my home and it's always gonna be my home. But if you bring somebody from out of town and drive them down First Street, up Roosevelt and up Zacharias, the roads are bad. This is a hard sell to get people to move here. So I think you've done, just looking at 40 less vacancies this year than last year. I just commend you on that, and that is a good job. And I think we need to push on our city politics and local governments to make our place more appealing. That's all. Thank you. Good job.
Well done. Get you a lot of stars tonight.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
I asked Ms. Salazar to present the next presentation. We did get some policy advisories and from the New Mexico School Board Association. And so I asked Ms. Salazar to work with the attorneys to come out with a plan on these policy advisories. So this would be what we consider a first read. And so I would like Ms. Salazar to share those with you.
Thank you. So yes, we have actually a total of 5 advisories, policy advisories, and 3 of which policies are new policies, and then 2 are just amended. So I'd like to go over each one. We have policy advisory 233, which is going to be a new advisory. It's ACB, non-discrimination related to reproductive or gender affirming healthcare. So that's an entirely new policy. And so what it states is that we are to keeps any school districts from discriminating against persons based on their use or non-use of reproductive or gender affirming care. And this is a new policy issued to comply with statutory amendments. Now, the next policy advisory, number 234, which is Human Rights Act Protection for Gender or Gender Identity. So I did get some advisement from legal, and we could do two things, one of two things. We could adopt it as an entirely new policy, or we can include it in our policies AC and ACA. Now, AC is our non-discriminatory equal opportunity policy, and then our ACA is non-discrimination on the basis of sex. And so depending on how the board would like to proceed with that new policy would be entirely up to you if you want to adopt it as a new policy or if you'd like to incorporate it as legal had advised into our current policy of AC and ACA. Now we also have the next new policy is going to be school board elections holiday. And so that's your 235. And what that indicates, let me pull my slide up here. So what they're wanting to do is they're wanting to declare that every general election, regular and local, shall be a school holiday for students. And so that will affect our length of year, our days of attendance with students. And so if this is a new policy, we'll have to go with the state and New Mexico PED with the hours and the length of school days. So that will determine, that will affect that next year.
Mr. President, would only affect us as one day, I believe. I think June is the primary, and we're not in school that day, that time frame. And of course, the November general election. And I think for the majority, everybody in our county has adopted, or will be going to that November time frame here on forward. Maybe one day.
And we can adjust it once the calendar committee convenes. They can talk about how we want to adjust that day, whether it's increasing one day longer at the end of the school year or swapping another holiday. So there's some leeway with how we incorporate that day in our school year. And then we have our policy advisory 236. If you look at that, it's based on our E3100 food services. So it's striking out the top portion of that. And it's asking our students to, our public school districts to operate our national school lunch program and breakfast program. And it's offered at a high quality at no charge. And so we're currently doing that in our district. We do not charge any of our students breakfast or lunch. And so they're just wanting us to update our policy to reflect that, so that in the event that that ever changes with the state, I believe it'll be protected with a no charge to our students.
So, Mr. President, if I could, we already have this as a policy for GCCS, so we're just asking us to just make some tweaks and.
Just amend it, yes, just amend it. And then, of course, the regulation is also amended. You see some strikeouts just to reflect that previous policy. A student may bring a sack lunch, milk, or other beverage may be provided at no cost to the student. The previous regulation said may be purchased, so they're striking out the purchase part. And meal prices for students will be recommended by the food service supervisor with the approval of board at the beginning of each school year. They're striking out students to reflect that it will be of no charge. And then it states on our fourth bullet, meal prices for adults, including employees, parents, or school visitors, will be posted in each cafeteria. And then the next amended part will be towards the end where it says facilities use and food service provided to outside organizations or individuals must have prior written approval from the superintendent, including any conditions and arrangement for the use and payment. And so those are going to be in effect. So that's the advisory of that.
So if adults buying meals, they have to do the cashless?
Yes.
I tried to go online too.
It's not too bad if you walk in and scan it as you walk in, except you have to sit there and put all your information.
Hence my dilemma.
And so the last amended policy, we already have this existing policy in place, and it was one of the advisories that I had presented last year, is our policy advisory number 237, and it's policy J1050 and JB open enrollment. And this affects our military families. If you'll look to where it says first priority in placement and excess capacity, the change will be underlined in the district of the first one. It says district resident pupils in assigned school attendance areas or who will be residing within the school district if the pupil is a child in a military family will be attending public school in the district during the upcoming year and within the attendance area of the public school, and pupils who have resided in the attendance area prior to a parent who is an active member of the Armed Forces of the United States or a member of the National Guard being deployed and whose deployment has required the pupil to relocate outside the attendance area for custodial care. And then the second bullet says that we will allow any of our families that are subject to military deployment that they can go into any school district that they choose to, or the parents want to enroll them in. So they don't need to necessarily be in that attendance zone. And so we're just making some accommodations for our military families. And that is the last amended policy.
And so, President, number 237 is just an amendment to what we have already.
Yes, sir.
And these policies were sent to us from the School Board Association. They went through their legal team. And then Ms. Salazar also had them sent to the district attorney team and had them looked at and evaluated. And that was the only advisement, was that they really wanted us to consider taking 236, is it 235?
It's 234.
234, and just incorporating that into our current.
AC and ACA policies, non-discriminatory policies that we currently have in place.
Any problems with that?
Does this address,
Amending it? Yes.
does this address any dress policies or it's not this section?
Well, there's no dress policies, as it says, we cannot discriminate a variety of personal characteristics, including gender identity and gender. And so if the dress is inclusive to that, we cannot discriminate.
Board members?
Well, we're not voting on this right now, it's our first reading. I will go study a little bit, but from that level.
Yeah, this is the first read.
Yes.
We'll comment on it later, or we may make some suggestions. But
I look forward to hearing
I
from you
would,
all, so we can present it.
why don't you have us see what a amended policy looks like, or you insert it in there instead of.
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, I have no comments.
Thank you.
Seeing none, thank you very much. We will continue on with the agenda. Mr. Whiteman.
So our finance committee got together last week and we talked about a couple of monetary action items that we wanted to discuss at tonight's meeting. The first is consideration of approval to invest $3 million from the operational account into a Morton capital account. Mr. Maldonado, will you explain why we want to do this?
Absolutely. We're passing out, first of all, the summary that shares with you the results of our Morton capital investments right now. You may remember, we have $11 million right now invested in Morton Capital since mid-January. 7 million came from the operating fund, and we transferred 4 million from the bond account collection fund, the money that comes in for us to pay the bond back. And the reason we did that was because of the interest rates are such a high amount, number one, that we were able to get really good returns on this in order to build our cash reserves. The second reason we did that was our bid for Blue Water came in way higher, much higher than we anticipated. So therefore, our share is also much higher. So PSFA, we were met with our rep today during our Blue Water construction meeting. And so far, they've approved, PSFA has approved $20,830,734 for Blue Water, which means at 25% match, which is what our match was when we started this program for Blue Water, our new share is $5,207,684. We only budgeted out of the last $10 million bond election, we only budgeted $6.6 million for both Mesa View and Blue Water. So if you anticipate that Mesa View is going to be coming in at $55 million, then if I do my math right, our share of that is going to be $13,750,000. So in the spring, when we went to spring budget workshop, we were told by PSCOC that they raised our share and it went up to 35%. Any project that we were going to start between January and this summer was going to be at 35%. Thankfully, they also said the legislature then went back and trimmed it down by 1/3. So now we are at 23%. So we went from 25% share to 35% share temporarily down to 23% share. When you factor in that we also need to build Mesa View, I began to get very concerned about the amount of cash that we had available. Investing in Morton Capital allowed us to see really good results, as you're seeing on that paper that I sent to you. And I want to share with you here another, if you can look on the screen, you also have a copy of this, just to give you an idea of where we are cash-wise and what we did for July and year to date. So each month I'll be giving you the same type of report so you can see what our beginning balance in the checking account was. Income from all sources was 17.9 million. We had expenditures of 2.3 million, which left us an ending balance in the checking account, our operating account, of $22 million, 22.5. Now, our average daily balance in our checking account ran between December and until we got this RFR was about $8 million, which is cutting it close. That's not a lot of money to have in the bank, right? But we were spending a lot of money on the ESSER funds, and we finally got our reimbursements to the tune of 10-point-something million, and that brought us back up to what we normally like to have our checking account, our operating account at 22 million. So you'll see this balance moving forward as something that's pretty standard. Because of that, we can afford to move more money into an interest-bearing account like we have with Morton Capital. We met with our CPA, we met with our bond advisor, and we also met with our arbitrage advisor to make sure that we were not earning more money than the interest that we were paying for the bonds. And so you can see, if you go down below on that same sheet, here's a snapshot of our cash and cash equivalents. I call it cash equivalents because it's not money that we have in the bank. Some of it is held by NMFA. We draw on it every time we have a pay app for the projects that we're working on. And right now you can see the 3 NMFA bonds there, that how much we have. We just got that ed tech note to buy new computers and do some other technology oriented things. And then we have the Morton Capital at 7 million plus the 4 million in terms of our what we have in the investment principal. And then we have on our operating account at this time was 21.9 million, 21.3 million plus our money market account of it should be 4 million, not 4. So we have $43 million in cash and cash equivalents. It's important to know, even though that this seems like a lot of money, and it is, that once we start building Mesa View, that cash is going to disappear rather quickly, which is why we need to go out for the $20 million bond in the fall. Now, I called PSFA, the deputy director, he and I are on pretty good terms, and I asked him, I said, so why are we at 23% now when Gallup is at 11 or 12%? And then he sent me the report that shows all districts. There are only 6 other districts they have a lower share than we do. Some districts are all the way up to a 95% share. So I asked, how do we get to 12% share? I mean, how does that happen? And how much did they pay you? And so he basically said, well, they're highly leveraged, meaning they are in debt as much as they can go. So because we have been very conservative in our debt leveraging, that's why we have such a higher share, which means that they basically say you can afford more of that. So when we go to the $20 million bond, which we want to sell in the fall, that'll really significantly raise our indebtedness. And I'm hoping that next year, when they make those adjustments, we'll go down to about 15, 16%. I would be very pleased with that kind of percentage. So that's why we're interested in raising cash. We need to raise cash. You know, my old adage says that you make hay while the sun shines. The sun is shining right now, and I would like to invest that $3 million. You can see what we're looking at earning over the next 12 months, $209,000, which was significantly, I'm sorry, on the backside over here, $145,000, which would significantly add to our cash balance. I stand for any questions you might have.
The committee, finance committee, heard the presentation before and how we've sought to be as good to our taxpayers as much as we can compared to Gallup, which is, you know, taxing the dickens out of Gallup. So this seems to be a reasonable effort on our part.
So in our $11 million we've had since January, we've made almost $210,000. So we take this.
In the interest earned is $133,000 for the $7 million, and then $76,000. So yes, a total of $209,000.
Almost 210.
Yeah.
So if you take the 3 million, do you split it between those two, or is it its own?
No, we're gonna add
It'll be a whole
another
investment
account.
Portfolio. I
Yeah.
got you.
For 3 million, and that should be, we're looking at a performance of $145,200.
When you do that, is there a term you have to leave it?
No,
And
it's
no penalty
completely
on the way
liquid.
back?
Everything is completely liquid. It's a sweep account, meaning at the end of the month, as soon as the interest posts, it moves right back into our TBK bank accounts, and we go back to that original principal and start earning money again.
I got you.
So and anytime we want to take it out, there's no penalty. It's not the same as a CD or other term account where we have to leave it in there. We would earn higher interest if we did that, but it wasn't worth the risk to us. I didn't want to do that.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I know the last time when we went before LFC, we were apprised that we were one of the ones that had such a high cash balance. And I worry about the image that it sends to the taxpayers, that we're going to tax them, but because this is public information, they're going to say, well, they already have 11 million or whatever it is, and they're going to tax us some more so they can get some more money. How do we explain that to our taxpayers when we float this bond?
So the very first principle that we would, in terms of the communication, is that the tax rate does not increase. And that's the most important issue to communicate, is that the rate does not increase. It may be that the term, how long they do that, will be longer, they pay longer, but we won't be going out for another bond for many years after this. So we're eligible to go out every 3 or 4 years, I can't remember, but we're not going to go out after this. It will be another 6 to 8 years before we go out for another bond. So I think that's the first communication. The second one is we need this capital in order to improve the buildings that are 60, 70 years old, that it costs more money to maintain than it would be to build those. And we need to raise that cash. And we're being prudent we're working with the community to invest our money into these accounts that are interest bearing, to help ease the burden from the community so that we can raise cash on our own without having to go out to the community to do more. That would be my statement, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
So it doesn't raise a red flag with the LFC or anyone else?
Well, I'll just be honest with you about the LFC. I went through their I went at length, talked to them hours and hours. They truly, truly do not understand school finance. And I would say that having and I would say this if our legislators were here as well, is that they truly have to understand the reason for having a cash balance is that we operate on a reimbursement basis only. We have to have the money in the bank in order to fund the programs, the people, do all the things that we're asked to do, including all the increases in that we're putting into money to address Yazzie Martinez, money that we're putting in to address special education, money that we're putting in to address our facilities that are falling apart in some places that we're not replacing. We have to have that cash available. So it's not like we have that cash and we're keeping it for years and years and years. We're using it and we're replenishing it as we go every year. And I would be happy to walk anyone from the public, I invited, just so you know, we invited two members of, one from the Alcamo Pueblo and one from the Laguna Pueblo to be on our audit committee and also to be on our budget committee, so they have a seat at the table. They can see exactly how we put our budget together. They can see exactly where things go, what challenges we have. And I will tell you this, being in the private sector for years, coming out of healthcare, this is not a lot of money. So if you think about, in the private sector, one of the metrics we use is how many days of cash on hand do you have in the bank to operate your business? If money stopped today, how many days would you be able to operate? A good metric in a business, and just an ordinary business, would be between 8 and 12 months. The money that we have in the bank here gives us 90 days. 90 days, if everything were to stop now. That is not a healthy place to be, which is why every year when I come to present the budget, I'm always advocating for more money needs to be put in our reserves so that we can fund those unexpected things, such as the failure of the HVAC system over in Grants High School. We can't rely on special allocations, even though I welcome them. We just heard from PSFA, we're going to get a special allocation for operations again and other special allocations for pre-K. I forgot the other three things, but we won't know until the 21st what that is. But I would submit that even though it looks like a high balance, it's really something that we need to be thinking that it's a prudent way of approaching business.
So board members, the finance committee has already reviewed this, and so we're ready to proceed with this action. Mr. Weiner, do you have a recommendation?
I recommend that we do approve, that we make a motion to invest the $3 million from the operational funds.
I make a motion to approve to invest $3 million from GCCS operational account into Morton Capital.
Is there a second?
One second.
Second by Ron Ortiz. To approve the investment of $3 million into Morton's Capital. Roll call.
Dr. Garashambo,
Yes.
Emily Hunt Daly,
Yes.
Robert Hayes,
Yes.
Richard Jones,
Aye.
Laura Ortiz.
Yes. Motion carries. Ms. White.
So the second action item is a licensure item that we have contracted for the last 20 years. I'll talk about it, and if I'm wrong, you correct me, Dr. Martin and Mr. Maldonado. Lexia is a reading assessment program that places the kids in their reading levels. So all of our elementary students are going through the Lexia program. You have second graders that are reading at a higher level, and so it tells them, hey, you're at a fourth grade level. And so they take assessments, they do readings, they read paragraphs, books, short stories, and every elementary student in the district is using the Lexia program, and they use it throughout the year. And so we see great performance increases through the reading program. Again, we've used it since about 2003, I believe. The cost is for licenses for the Lexia program. And so our cost this year would be $89,190. And we do it every year, so it's a renewal, subscription renewal. We did not have this in the finance committee. We got our bill right after we had our meeting. And so this year, the total would be $89,190.
If I may add, sir, Mr. President, members of the board. This is actually part of the Title I application, so and it's been for the past 2 years.
We approved it?
Sir?
We approved the Title I already.
Yeah, it's been a part of the Title I application since I came to the federal programs office, and recently, actually, the secondary schools requested that they become part of Lexia as well, because they're interested in finding the Lexile level of students in the secondary level, and so we used to only have core 5 for the elementary schools. Now we have level up, Lexia level up for the secondary schools as well. So and all of that totaled to 89,190. We went through the state because the state requires us to do a sole source application for such a big purchase, and they are the sole source. We didn't have any applicants to that sole source, and so that's what
It is in our Title I budget.
and our private schools are also using the program as well. So it also provides Lexia and reading labs for both.
So we approved it already in.
It's been.
It's been.
Years it's been in the
Yeah, so it's
consent
been in-
agenda, it hasn't been separate like that.
Yeah, so
Because it's part of the.
just odd that it was this way. So if you want to proceed, we can go ahead and vote on it, but it's already been approved.
I guess, Mr. President, the question I have, could we get, since we've had it for such a long time, percentages of how, when we first implemented it, did the reading go up? And it might be easier now, because you're talking about doing it at the high school, to start tracking them, to see from year to year, using this program, what kind of success rate we have. And if you might have one for the elementary, through it, so that we can, it's documented information that we're following Yazzie Martinez, we're providing them with all the instructional services that we can, because it's meant to increase those that are low to a higher level. So it'd be good documentation that, we're following the Yazzie Martinez requirements. So if you could provide us some percentages as to.
It is exciting because we'll have new data on the older kids too. So, we have those 5th graders that are now 6th graders, and we can continue to track them as they go through. So it's interesting too, when you walk in the elementary schools, the kids will tell you, they'll be like, I'm Lexia 3, it might be a 1st grader, but they know their reading levels, and so it's.
And you can, I remember it when my kids were there, you check it any day. Any week, where they are, and if they're up and down, or down to up, well, yeah, we use it.
And I just think it's important to show it as district-wide, and so that we can see. It also helps to pinpoint like feeder schools coming in, where these kids that are coming in that might need the more help if their scores are low. And so we don't know which feeder schools they're coming from, especially in high school. They come in, middle schoolers, 7th, and they're pretty low in reading, and we want to know. Gives us an idea of how we prepare for them for that year. As a teacher, we talk about Lexile scores and stuff like that, but I don't think our kids really understand what that means. When they're asked to, or they've increased their Lexile score, or they're reading at this level and then they fall down. It's just good information that the district can use to document that we're doing our job, or you're doing your job.
Recommendation?
I recommend that we do spend $89,000, $190 to renew the subscription to Lexia Reading.
Motion?
Make a motion with you.
Second? Motion has been made by Richard Johnson, seconded by Emily Daly to consider approval of the license for Lexia Reading Solutions for 23-24. The amount of 89,190. Roll call.
Dr. Guyer Shambo.
Yes.
Emily Hunt Daly.
Yes.
Robert Hayes.
Yes.
Richard Jones.
Aye.
Ron Ortiz.
Yes.
Quick question, do we have the same things like for iReady, the iReady solution, all that stuff, same kind of?
We do. And so we're getting lots of good data.
Okay, just share that with us, Susan.
Continuing.
So for consent agenda, tonight, we don't have any agenda items that we need to consent of. Mr. Maldonado is gonna talk about the way he's gonna report that to you.
So I did that, in the presentation for the, capital, the 3 million. The only other item I presented to, the finance committee was, giving our quarterly cash report, to you, and I have it here, if you would like me to do that, Mr. President, do you want me to do that?
Please.
Alright, so I thought it would be a good idea, and you can tell me if it's not, to do sort of each month do a mini school budget lesson or whatever, and so it's no test. I just want to show you how we put things together. This cash report, Dr. Martin, there's one more for everyone, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This cash report, I want you to look at every quarter, we have to report to the PED, the fund balances for each of the many funds that we manage, okay? So as I've told you before, if you look at the very first column, it says operational. That's how much money we have in the operational account at the end of the third quarter ending in March 31st of 2023. I want to call your attention to the yellow highlighted area, this bond building. Here's how we put this report together. So we take, and I passed out the my copy of it. Wait, let's see if I have it. No, I have
I can
it.
see it better over there anyway.
No, I got it. So we take in this 31,100 account, we start with the money on line 1 of that. It says 5,660,000. That's how much comes, that's the balance in our audited financial at the end of the fiscal year last year. So then we start with that, and then we add any additional revenue that came in. And you can see there that we had additional revenue of $116,000 there. And so that money that we look at here in our cash balance, if you look at this little half sheet that I gave you, you can see that we only take into consideration the bonds that we had outstanding before this school year, before last school year. So those are the ones highlighted in green. That's how we come up with that $5.7 million. So every year, every quarter, we have to reconcile this account along with all the other funds that we're doing in order to report accurately what our fund balances are and what's available to us. So this is just one little lesson in how this is put together. I will continue to share with you each month a different fund balance and let you know how the money comes in and how it goes out and what it's spent on. I think that what I'm hearing from during the board meetings is that you'd like more information about what is being spent on some particulars, right? Maybe not going through every check, right, but some particulars, and I'm happy to provide that. And here I'm just gonna provide you with how the money comes in. We haven't really spent much of it yet, but this will be a good start for us. Next month, I'm gonna walk you through what comes in through the on the second page here. And it's going to be the column that's marked the public school outlay, 31,200, and the 31,701 accounts. So we can see how we build those balances for building. Right?
Thank you, sir. He's gonna really work to provide more detail on where the money's going, where we're spending it, so. At this time, I'll begin with the superintendent's report.
Well, you have the consent agenda and vote.
Vote on it.
Do we have to?
It's a vote on the consent agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what you have in there, excuse me, Mr. President, what you have in here is the expenditure report that was provided for the last month, and so.
It's in your finding. It's a listing.
I recommend that you approve the consent agenda items.
I'll entertain a motion whenever.
So moved, Mr. President.
So moved by
Second.
Mr. Hayes, seconded by Emily Hunt Daly to approve the consent agenda as presented. Roll call.
Byron Chavo,
Yes.
Emily Hunt Daly. Robert Hayes.
Yes.
Richard Jones,
Aye.
Ron Ortiz.
Yes.
Motion carries.
No comment. I appreciate that, you doing that. I know that we need to be more concerned about where the spending is going, in case we're ever asked questions and stuff, and when we don't know, we just vote on it blindly. And so this is a good test for us to do our due diligence, making sure that the money's going where it's supposed to be going. And the reason I brought that up, I know there were expenditures for cooling and heating at one school and still wasn't working, but we were paying them, and we keep paying them, and it still doesn't work. So it's kind of disconcerting, that we're not keeping track of what, as a board, we're not keeping track of what, or how our schools are operating. And then I think it's important that, you visit every school, not just the principal or the superintendent, but the operations manager, spend time at the schools, find out where the problem areas are, and talk to the staff. That way, you know what's going on and what needs to be replaced, what needs to be fixed, so that you at least see at the school, maybe every school, once or twice a week, to find out what's going on and what's not working. I think that's important for us to know. Otherwise, in that way, we don't hear about it in the community when they say, well, this doesn't work, somebody doesn't have chairs, and it's just important to be seen at the schools for all the directors and stuff. So thank you, and I appreciate that you guys all went out at the beginning and start of the school year. At least they know faces now, and they can go to those faces instead of coming to this face.
Thank you.
Mr. Wagner.
So the superintendent's report, I'll keep it brief. Stakeholder meetings, I said it is my goal to be in the schools. Last week I made it to 7 of the different school sites. This week I'm going to the others that I missed, and my goal is to, Friday I'm gonna go have lunch in Cebolleta or Cabarro and go out in that direction. I have been meeting with tribal officials. I met with some of the tribal officials from the Laguna Pueblo. I met with the new superintendent of the Laguna Department of Education, Ms. Suman, and kind of talking about how we kind of start working together and working to do what's best for our kids that transfer and feed to Grant Cibola County Schools. I met with several of the tribal officials from Acoma, and I have a meeting Thursday with the Rama chapter. And so I'm reaching out to stakeholders. I'm trying to be in the schools. I did share the open house schedule with you all. I plan to be at those open houses. I'll try to kind of make the rotations and be at those. I'm missing one tonight in San Rafael, but tomorrow night I'll be at the next one that is going on. And so very much trying to be in the school, in the communities, and meeting with our stakeholders and people. I had a meeting last week with one of the legislators, and so just trying to make those contacts. Handbooks. We talked about handbooks in my superintendent's report last last meeting, I was waiting for the secretaries to be back on staff and the administrators to be in the lead. We now have all of the handbooks. They're in your electronic file. Lorraine and I we were gonna print them out, but they're hundreds and hundreds of pages. And so we did put them in your electronic file. And Dr. Guy and I were talking about that it's probably time for us to have a legal review of those handbooks. It's been 4 years. And so we want to make sure that they're still compliant with our policies and our procedures. And so I am gonna refer the handbooks for legal consideration and have them looked at, but you do have copies of all of them.
Now, are they the same at every school?
They're different.
Different,
They're
okay, so everybody develops their
different.
own
They're
policy.
similar. So you know, they have the same. 4 years ago, we got them pretty succinct where, you know, this is our discipline policy, this is, and so they're very similar in the bones, but that's why we probably need a legal review, just to make sure that they are still synced.
Do I know how to get into my electronic?
Let's do the shared folder that I send to you every board meeting.
Okay.
And we can print them if you need, it's just a lot, and I didn't,
Many pages.
at first I thought, well, they would need a binder for the handbooks, and so,
But if we asking for a certain school,
yeah.
that would be simply your own want
I
to.
can only make one, Mr. President, one recommendation, you make one.
Yeah.
You gotta look at it. There it is.
Yeah, we could have one that we keep here
I
in
don't
central
suggest
office
one,
too,
no,
so
it doesn't.
that way if parents come in and say, you know, my kid goes to
That's
Cebolleta,
what the recommendation was.
From the front.
Yes.
Does that include all the sports participation and extracurricular?
so the athletic directors all have different handbooks for, well, they have the same. So the policies at LA are the same as at GHS. But they do have, they have the same bones, but they look different. But we could include those
Well, would you?
in the master.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we'll see those.
Perfect. And then the last is open houses. We are working we're a week into school. Well, we're 5 days into school. And we're having open houses, and that's a good opportunity for me to be out with the stakeholders and the community members, and I plan to go to those. Mr. Hayes asked if there was any problem with him going to those.
Still do.
They're community events, and so you guys can go and meet with your constituents, and so you do have the schedule of open houses there. And that's
Mr. Superintendent,
pretty
can I
much.
add one more thing to that? Following Mr. Hayes's request last board meeting, we did purchase 13 AEDs for the athletic department. 5 will go to Laguna Acoma, 5 will go to the coaches at Grants High, and 3 to Lambs. Our head nurse is going to do training for everyone, maintain the schedule for all that. We should get those in on Thursday, day after tomorrow.
I just asked that they be put in something that would keep them dust-free and durable for many years, because the price tag was.
Pretty hefty.
But it's worth every
Yes.
penny, every penny.
And the NMAA will be glad,
No, I'm sure.
so you might send them notice that you did with them.
I'm sorry, I
The
didn't.
NMAA, although it's not required course or anything, like the concussion and all the stuff that we have to do, but they recommend, having them at the schools and activities.
Let's move on.
That
Executive
concludes the
session.
superintendent's report.
Just a moment, please. Yep. Okay, board members, let me read off the executive session, and then I'll call for a vote. The executive session will be focused on legal personnel matters to receive updated report from the superintendent on organizational changes made regarding director responsibilities and rationale from the superintendent on changes pursuant to section 1015-1H2 of the Open Meetings Act. Discussion with the school district's attorney to advise on related effects of organizational change upon personnel, the existing employment contract, superintendent board relations, provision of new job descriptions as pending with written litigation pursuant to section 1015-1H7 of the Open Meetings Act and under the attorney-client privilege in anticipation of and to prevent further litigation. No action will be taken, and only the items listed within will be discussed. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
So moved by Emily Ann Daly to go into executive session. Is there a second?
No second.
Second by Ron Ortiz to go into executive session as presented. Roll call, please.
Dr. Archambault. Emily Daly. Robert Hayes.
Yes.
Richard Jones. Ron Ortiz.
Yes.
Motion carries. The board is going into executive session at 7:05 p.m. Thank you very much for all of you who have been in attendance. So, give ourselves about 5, get ourselves ready. Mr. Sanchez will stay here.
Our bathrooms are working.
What?
They are working.
You said now aren't working. Where's that gonna go?
We do have portables as well.
We do
just
have
in case
them.
outside.
Oh, I would've close this meeting off real quick. You should have told us.
They're not working.
They're not working.
Not working.
Executive session, we're going home.
Yeah. Close the meeting, if there's no others, and they're not working.
Water off to the building real quick.
Let's not do that. Get everyone home on it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Kristen?
What date we got it? August something.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
I've been on full turbo.
Okay. I haven't decided.
I haven't even.
I applaud you for doing this. City was working through that, and I can't imagine.
What do I say?
Move back in regular session.
They made them,
We need to reconvene.
is there a motion to reconvene into open session?
So moved. Second.
Motion was made by Emily Daly, it's seconded by
I'll second.
Richard Jones to reconvene out of open session. Roll call,
Dr. Guy,
yes?
Emily Hunt Daly,
Yes.
Robert Hayes.
Yes.
Richard Jones,
Aye.
Ron Ortiz.
Yes. Motion carries. This is what I'm doing, and if I'm doing it wrong, Mr. Sanchez, you let me know. The matters discussed in this closed meeting were limited only to those specified in the motion for closure. The statement shall be approved by the board as part of the minutes. Is that acceptable?
Yes.
So when we approve the minutes at the next meeting, that's when we acknowledge that it's part of the motion. Okay, I forgot that.
If you could add that no other items were discussed and no decisions were made, that.
And no other items, what is it again?
No other items were discussed and no
Other than
decisions were
those
made.
No other items were discussed and no action was taken in the closed session.
You need a tape recorder where you can just push the button.
And it says my voice. Okay, where we at now? Announcements. Motion passed, motion carried. Did we vote on it? Did we vote on the,
They vote on the reconvening. Now
Okay.
you need a motion for the action that Mr. Jones is going to take.
The recommendation first.
I recommend that we approve the organizational structure for 23-24 as to funding.
I make a motion, we approve the new organizational structure as to fund.
is there
Second.
second? Motion was made by Richard Jones and seconded by Emily Daly. Is there a roll call?
Dr. Guy Shambo,
Is there discussion?
Is there discussion on this? I'll wait 5 minutes to see.
Call for the question, Mr. President.
Okay. Call for the question. Roll call.
Dr. Guy Shambo,
Yes?
Emily Hunt Daly,
Yes.
Robert Hayes.
Yes.
Richard Jones,
Aye.
Ron Ortiz.
Yes. Motion carries. Announcements?
What do we do at a public school board retreat?
A lot.
That tells me absolutely nothing.
We talk about.
Do we play games? Do
No,
we?
we talk about the strategic plan, we talk about what's your idea that you're gonna be as a board member. He's gonna talk about what his idea, what it means to be a board member, along down yeah, we have had where we had mediators come in.
We can have presenters. Do,
No, one of the topics has to be the strategic plan. We need to decide how we're gonna play that game for this year. One of the things we've said covertly is that we're going to discuss we would discuss how we're going to have reports on that. So we can outline some very succinct kind of things that we can do with that. We don't necessarily need to have any other consultants on that.
I'm just trying to.
I know.
Run the park.
And then we can have presentations on different legal presentations. Sometimes our attorneys can come in and do a one-on-one on certain things. We can do that again.
We have
You'll be part of
presenters.
the association.
So, we can discuss with you what would be some topics that we want, that would be worthy of us on the
When will
29th.
this happen?
We to be decided. Close by.
As a kid.
We're not going,
Oh, yeah, you won't have it at.
Yeah, we have done it before at, Dancing, or, yeah, dancing, we did one time.
Golf course.
Went to the golf course one time, Sky City, and they feed us but you get a lot done.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
What about Ventana? Do they still, I mean, yeah, Ventana, do they still do that?
I do.
Are they open on Tuesdays?
You can't order any drink.
And the other place that would, Cafecito has a little meeting room
I mean,
also.
yeah, that, it has a mirror.
El Ranchero one has a meeting room
Oh, yeah,
in the back,
Ranchero.
and I'd rather eat there than any of them, but.
I agree.
Me too.
You're with me, right?
Yeah, me too.
Better place. You
But
guys
they have
are-
that, remember where the front end used to be
Yeah,
right there?
they have that meeting
and
room.
I think it's pretty. It's
Cozy and that.
It'd
Okay.
also be nice.
Can we do have principals, have a supervisory one-on-one?
Silver City. $5.
Well,
If you remember, you contract with me and I do training for free.
There you go. That's a
No
perfect
one
trainer
does that.
right there. Who does that?
Pay for me to come out,
I
feed
do.
me and let me stay, and that's it.
Train on all kinds of stuff.
we'll feed you.
Mr. The gentleman that came and saw me today, he said he would come and help us too.
I'm all for you.
Honeywell
Yeah,
guy.
me too.
Oh,
Okay, food
my,
Ramon.
Ramon
Oh,
said he
yeah.
would come and,
Ramon
Comes to.
Yeah, he's done it before.
Tell him to
Okay,
bring
well,
his cell
well,
phone
maybe
with you.
3 topics. One has to be internal for us to get our act together. 2 could be, training on topics of
I'd
importance.
like to hear more about HR.
Or like the NMAA and NSBA requirements, meeting requirements, we need to talk about that.
Oh, yeah. 29th is the same day that those who need to apply for,
you have to submit your candidates.
Candidacy.
We could all take a 10-minute, 15-minute break and.
for those who are so interested and inclined.
And I tell people what day it is, it's 29, you have to go through the time. I tell people, you need to go ahead of time and find out what documents you need to take,
Wow.
because I had no idea until you called me what I needed for this position. I'm like,
I don't
what?
remember what's the, take voter registration,
But
Proof of,
2 forms ID, right?
Mhm.
And proof of.
of your
residence.
residency.
Is that right? I didn't even know that.
And then one
Well-
lady called me after the election was already held, she was good, because she thought it was in November, but we had it in February.
Yes.
Or a couple things.
Yeah, so she said,
it's not
are
my
you
fault.
still interested? I says, well, that's good for you, you have a year to think about it, a year, they already passed, lady.
Passed, yeah.
Are you interested?
I'm sitting
Ask.
down with my shoe, you know.
future agenda items. I think let's wait on that till tomorrow. I wanted to pose some questions of you related to what we've talked about today. That came out of the Finance Committee. Assessments. No, just the strategic plan and how those, and this issue that we're talking about.
perfect. I think that's great.
We have to do an audit report, audit committee report too.
We do.
It's ongoing, correct?
Yeah.
But I guess we don't get our data until October.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
while. You can't
I'm
be
going
on
to,
it until-
entertain a motion
So moved.
to adjourn. So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made by Emily Handeli and seconded by Bob Hayes to adjourn this board meeting. Roll call.
Dr. Guyer Shambo?
Yes.
Emily Hunt Daly?
Yes.
Robert Hayes?
Yes.
Richard Jones?
Aye.
Ron Ortiz?
Yes.
Motion carries at 8:25 PM. It could have been almost 8 o'clock.
Richard has to drive home. Mr. Wagner, tell the new people that are supplying food, it was very delicious and hearing lots of good compliments out in the public at the schools that they love the choices.
Good. I will do that.
Do we-
Try and figure out how to pay them meals.
But 5 choices might be too many.
Some days.
Not that it's too many, they need help.
I didn't like it. They need more staff.
Yeah. That's what it is.
That's why it's empty.
Yeah, just the remnants are up in the.
Lorraine and I have been going to the different schools, and so we try to get different stuff.
Just
And
You may leave as whenever you desire. You can stick along.
That way, I don't feel so better off.
Well,
Well, and that's what he said.
Freebie training.
See you later, Ron. Thank you.
Yeah, those principles need it. They're new.
We're working on that. Thanks.
Let me know on
Those issues.
Oh, you know what I was gonna tell you?
So I shouldn't.
Dr. Guerra, give me back, this one's all corroded.
You need to get mine.
Yeah, Robert returned his.
Turn mine in, I never use it, it just sits there and chirps all day, and people call, but I have no idea what they are.
I'll give mine, send it down with my husband, I'll pick off.
I will hear you tomorrow morning.
I'm not gonna be here tomorrow.
Okay, well, let me try to put it together, that thing that we had to amend on the minutes. I think you probably know what it is, but
Oh, really, and it never worked?
He works and chirps
I'll
and
have
goes
to
dead.
do that one page.
Yeah, that's the way.
okay.
And
Well,
that
it's my
one
fault,
sign.
not mine.
You don't pay attention to.
Take my husband to the dentist.
Oh, that should be so much fun.
Yeah.
Good.
So I'm like, he's gonna have two root canals,
Have a good night, sir.
2 teeth.
We'll
so-
see you at the retreat, I guess.
Dentists don't bother him
Will we make that a whole day or?
Yes.
all
Okay.
day.
Perfect.
They take the time off.
Takes all day.